What if I told you that one phone call between San Antonio and Boston could instantly transform the Western Conference landscape and create the most terrifying young duo in basketball? Hold onto your seats, because the NBA rumor mill just dropped a bombshell that could reshape the entire league's power structure. We're not talking about your typical draft day speculation or summer league whispers. This is the kind of earth-shattering possibility that keeps general managers awake at night and sends shockwaves through championship contenders across both conferences. The San Antonio Spurs, armed with the number 2 overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft and the generational talent that is Victor Wembanyama, are reportedly eyeing a move so audacious it could accelerate their timeline from promising young team to legitimate title contender overnight. The target? Jaylen Brown, the 28-year-old Finals MVP who helped deliver Boston's 2024 championship, and might just be the missing piece that transforms San Antonio into a dynasty. The perfect storm of opportunity. Let's set the stage for what could be the most significant trade in recent NBA history. The Boston Celtics, as we've discussed, are facing a financial reckoning that could force them to break up their championship core. Jayson Tatum's devastating Achilles injury has already shifted their timeline, making them more open to moves they never would have considered just months ago. Enter the San Antonio Spurs, sitting pretty with valuable assets and a franchise-altering talent in Wembanyama, who needs the right supporting cast to unleash his full potential. Sports Illustrated's Chris Mannix has identified what could be the perfect marriage of necessity and opportunity. Jaylen Brown is interesting, Mannix revealed, and that simple statement carries enormous implications. If he's in play, that's someone I think San Antonio will look at and will go after. But here's where it gets absolutely fascinating. Mannix didn't stop there. He doubled down on the speculation in a way that should have every Spurs fan's heart racing. That's someone I think if you're the Spurs, you're willing to give up the number 2 overall pick. Jaylen Brown, if he's available, again, we don't know if he's available yet, but if he's available, I would expect San Antonio to be among the teams to make a run at him. Why? This makes perfect sense for San Antonio. Think about the strategic brilliance of this potential move. The Spurs could draft Dylan Harper with the number 2 pick and hope he develops into a star over the next 3 to 4 years. Or they could trade that pick, along with additional assets, for a proven champion who's already in his prime and ready to compete at the highest level immediately. Brown isn't just any all-star. He's a Finals MVP who knows what it takes to win at the ultimate level. At 28 years old, he's entering what should be the prime years of his career, making him a perfect timeline fit with Wembanyama, who's still just scratching the surface of his incredible potential. During the 2024-25 season, Brown averaged 22.2 points, 5.8 rebounds for 0.5 assists, and 1.2 steals, while shooting 46.3% from the field. Yes, his three-point shooting dipped to 32.4%, but context matters. He was dealing with a partially torn meniscus in his right knee for parts of the season. When healthy, Brown has proven he can be a dynamic scorer and playmaker who elevates his game in crucial moments. Imagine the pairing. Wembanyama's otherworldly defensive presence and offensive versatility combined with Brown's championship experience and clutch gene. This wouldn't just be adding talent, it would be adding championship DNA to a team that's been building towards something special. The financial and strategic logic from Boston's perspective, this trade could solve multiple problems simultaneously. They're facing salary cap constraints that make keeping their entire championship core nearly impossible. Trading Brown could provide significant financial relief while bringing in young talent and draft capital that better aligns with their post-Tatum injury timeline. For San Antonio, the math is even more compelling. Instead of hoping a rookie develops into a star, they'd be acquiring a proven commodity who can immediately impact winning. The Spurs have been patient with their rebuild, accumulating assets and developing young talent around Wembanyama. Now, they have the opportunity to accelerate that timeline dramatically. The Western Conference context makes this even more intriguing. With teams like Denver, Phoenix, and Los Angeles still competing at high levels, the Spurs need to maximize Wembanyama's early years before the competition gets even fiercer. Adding Brown could instantly vault them into playoff contention and establish them as a legitimate threat to established powerhouses. The alternative scenarios and risk assessment, of course, this isn't a guaranteed outcome. The Spurs could decide to stick with the number 2 pick and draft Harper, who represents tremendous upside and cost-controlled talent for years to come. Harper's college production at Rutgers has been impressive, and he could develop into the exact type of dynamic guard the Spurs need alongside Wembanyama. There's also the Kevin Durant factor. Reports have linked the aging superstar to San Antonio, and while Durant would bring instant credibility and championship experience, his age makes him a shorter-term solution. Brown, at 28, offers the best of both worlds, immediate impact with long-term sustainability. The risk for San Antonio lies in giving up future flexibility for present improvement. Trading the number 2 pick and additional assets for Brown would limit their ability to continue adding young talent around Wembanyama. However, sometimes you have to strike when the opportunity presents itself, and a finals MVP becoming available doesn't happen often. The ripple effects across the league, if this trade materializes, the consequences would extend far beyond San Antonio and Boston. A Wembanyama-Brown duo would immediately shift the Western Conference power balance and potentially accelerate other teams' win-now moves. Established contenders like Denver and Phoenix would suddenly face a much more dangerous Spurs team that could compete immediately rather than in 2 to 3 years. This could create a domino effect of trades as other franchises try to keep pace with San Antonio's accelerated timeline. The psychological impact on Wembanyama would also be enormous. Instead of carrying the burden of being the sole star on a developing team, he'd have a proven championship veteran who can share that responsibility and teach him what it takes to win at the highest level. The championship window calculation, here's what makes this potential trade so compelling. It could create one of the longest championship windows in modern NBA history. Wembanyama is just 21 years old and appears destined for superstardom. Brown is 28 and should have 4 to 6 years of prime basketball remaining. That's a potentially decade-long window of championship contention. The Spurs have always been known for their patient, calculated approach to team building. This trade would represent a departure from that philosophy, but sometimes the perfect opportunity requires bold action. If Brown becomes available, San Antonio would be foolish not to explore every possible avenue to acquire him. So here's my burning question for you. Would you rather have the Spurs draft Dylan Harper and develop him over 3 to 4 years, or make the bold move for Jaylen Brown and compete for championships immediately? And which other teams do you think would jump into a bidding war for Brown if he becomes available? Drop your thoughts below. This could be the trade that defines the next decade of NBA basketball, and I want to hear who you think comes out on top if this deal actually happens.